නිවසේ මෙවැනි මතු පිට රැඳෙන විස බීජ 99.9%ක්ම විනාශ කරන විම් ක්ලීනර්ස්.
Tonight, no fuss. Following the confirmation of 14 new Delta variant cases, health authorities say some have already recovered. The race begins. 1 million more Sinopharm vaccines arrive in Sri Lanka as Pfizer seeks to debut its own vaccine, with 26,000 landing tomorrow. Global recognition. Sri Lanka receives international acclaim for its pesticides policy and suicide prevention success. The ins and the outs. The Minister of Trade reveals government plans to table a special investment promotion tax exemption package as new limits on foreign outflows is gazetted. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Sunday, the 4th of July, 2021.
Pocket ticket to fit when a new Axe ticket perfume.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanai. Now, after officially announcing an increase in the country's Delta variant COVID cases to 19 today, the Ministry of Health says that some of the 14 new Delta variant patients have already recovered and are undergoing self-isolation at their homes. Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardena revealed that PCR testing of all patients will continue. However, so far, none have tested positive.
Health authorities have confirmed today that Sri Lanka's Delta variant patient numbers have risen to 19 by yesterday, after a report released by the Sri Jayawardhanapura University confirmed the detection of 14 new Delta cases. Up to yesterday, the country had only officially confirmed 5 Delta variant cases, all identified in the Dematagoda area on the 17th of June. However, Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardena says that some of the patients have already completed treatment and are currently in self-isolation in their homes.
14 දිනකින් ඩෙල්ටා ප්‍රභේදය හොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. කොළඹ 2 කොළඹ 5 කොළඹ 9 කොළඹ 10 සහ 14 යන ප්‍රදේශවලුත් ඒ වගේම ගාල්ල ප්‍රදේශයෙන්ුත් මාතර ප්‍රදේශයෙන්ුත් අපි එක්කෙනා බැගින් හොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව ජාතික මානසික සෞඛ්‍ය විද්‍යා ආයතනයේ රෝගීන්ගෙන් අපි කීප දෙනෙක්ගෙන් අපි සොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. දැනට කොළඹ මහනගර සභා සීමාව තුළ සොයාගත් සියලුම රෝගීන් මේ වන විට ඔවුන්ගේ ප්‍රතිකාර එක්කෙනෙක් කැරෙන්න අනිත් සියලු දෙනාම ප්‍රතිකාර කරලා මේ වෙනට ගෙවල් වලටත් ඇවිල්ලා නිරෝධායනය කරමින් සිටින්නේ. එක රෝගියෙක් පමණක් තාම ප්‍රතිකාර ලැබෙමින් සිටිනවා. අනිකුත් මාතර සහ ගාල්ල වලත් සොයාගත් රෝගීන් ඔවුනුත් ප්‍රතිකාර ඉවර කළා. ඔවුන් දැන් නිවසල නිරෝධායනය කරමින් පවතිනවා. ඊට අමතරව ඔවුන්ගේ ආශ්‍රිතයන්ගේ මේ වෙනට PCR සාම්පල ලබා ගන්නමින් සිටිනවා. අනිකුත් ආශ්‍රිතයකින් ලබාගත් සාම්පල වලින් මේ වන විට තාමත් PCR ධනාත්මක වෙලා කවුරුත් අපිට වාර්තා වුණේ නැහැ. නමුත් තව දුරටත් අපි ඔවුන්ගේ පරීක්ෂණ කරගෙන යනවා.
Meanwhile, on yesterday's daily caseload numbers, the epidemiology unit confirmed a total of 1,262 new COVID-19 infections across all 25 districts. The majority of the infections were reported from the Western Province, with 569 cases. Within the province, the Gampha district accounted for the most cases with 247, while the Colombo district had recorded just 98 infections. On a provincial level, the Yuva province reported the lowest number with just 20 cases. In the district breakdown, the districts of Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu were the lowest, having recorded just 1 case each. A further 11 COVID-19 infections were reported from COVID-19 treatment centres. As for today, this blank new number of cases have been confirmed across the island, raising the overall number of active cases to 27,549. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's overall number of COVID-19 recoveries rose by 1,323 today, bringing the total to 233,317. Further, according to the Health Promotion Bureau, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 88.36%. In other developments, Chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva announced today that isolation of 5 Gramanildara divisions in 3 districts was lifted at 6 am today. However, Saragadeniyawatta in the Yatiyawela Gramanildara division in Kandy was placed under isolation from 6 am today until further notice.
අද සේවසකට වැඩි ජනතා විශ්වාසය නව සංයෝගයක රයිනෝ රෝෆිං සහ සීලිං ෂීට්.
Meanwhile, another consignment of 1 million Sinopharm vaccines arrived in the country this morning. State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, revealed that the new batch will be used to vaccinate people over the age of 30 in the Western Province and that the vaccine has shown effectiveness against the new Delta variant. Meanwhile, the first consignment of Pfizer vaccines will arrive in Sri Lanka during the early hours of tomorrow, making its debut in a national vaccine rollout in South Asia.
Another consignment of Sinopharm vaccines landed in Sri Lanka from China at 4:50 am this morning, the fourth delivery of the official commercial purchase made by the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation. Upon landing, the consignment of 1 million doses was whisked away in refrigerated trucks to the Health Ministry's central vaccine stores, where it will help fast-track the country's vaccine rollout program. The total number of Sinopharm vaccine doses Sri Lanka has received to date through both donations and state purchases is now 5.1 million.
අද දිනේ ලැබුණු එන්නතුත් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් බස්නාහිර පළාතේ වයස අවුරුදු 30ට වැඩි සියලුම ජනතාව එන්නත් කරණය සඳහා යොදා ගන්නත් රටේ සෙසු පළාත්වල වයස අවුරුදු 60ට වැඩි වැඩිහිටි උදවියට ලබා දෙන්නත් ඒ වගේම ගුරුවරුන්ට සහ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය රාජකාරිවල නියැලෙන කණ්ඩායම් වලට ලබා දෙන්නයි අපේ බලාපොරොත්තු.
Meanwhile, with public concerns on the rise over the much-feared Delta variant of COVID-19 across the globe, the state minister sought to allay any fears of the Sinopharm vaccine's efficiency against it.
පළවෙනි මාත්‍රාව ලබාගත් අය දෙවෙනි මාත්‍රාව ලබාගත්තට පස්සේ සිනෝෆාම් වෙන්නතේ ඩෙල්ටා ප්‍රභේදයේද ඇතුළුව අනෙකුත් වෛරස ප්‍රභේදවලට තාම ඉහළ මට්ටමේ ආරක්ෂාවක් ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් තුල ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා කියන මූලික පර්යේෂණ දත්ත තොරතුරු අපට ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
With that, as of last evening, 1,911,208 people have received their first Sinopharm dose, while 836,814 have received both. Further, the administration of second doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine continues as well, with 384,047 people having received their second jabs as of last evening, out of the 925,242 people waiting in the line. In addition, the number of Sputnik first doses given out stands at 114,795, while 14,427 have been given both doses as of yesterday. In the meantime, a shipment of Pfizer vaccines is scheduled to land at 2:30 am tomorrow, marking the vaccine's first showing in the national vaccination drive in South Asia. And with the Pfizer vaccine now recognized as an effective alternative to the AstraZeneca second dose, the arrival also gives hope to many Sri Lankans who were left with a long wait following global supply issues.
ඊට උදෑසන මාත්‍රා 26000ක් ෆයිසර් එන්නතෙන් අපිට ලැබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ලබන සතියේ තවත් 26000කුත් ජූලි මාසේ 3 වෙනි සතියේ 60000ක් සහ 4 වෙනි සතියේ 90000ක් හැටියට ලක්ෂ 2කට වැඩිය ෆයිසර් එන්නත් ප්‍රමාණයක් අපේ රටට ලැබෙන්න නියමිතයි. දැන් මේ ලැබෙන ෆයිසර් එන්නත් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ කාටද කියන කාරණය පිළිබඳව සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ විශේෂඥ කමිටුව සලකා බලමින් සිටිනවා. අපිට පෙරදී ඉල්ලීමක් ලැබිලා තිබුණා. මීට පෙර ඇස්ට්‍රාසෙනිකා එන්නත ලබාගත් අයට දෙවෙනි මාත්‍රාව හැටියට ෆයිසර් එන්නත ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ඒ සඳහා සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ බෝවන රෝග පිළිබඳ කමිටුවකින් නිර්දේශිකුත් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි ගැබිනි මව්වරුන්ට ඊටාම ආරක්ෂා සහිතයි ෆයිසර් එන්නත කියලා හෙළිදරව් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා ගැබිනි මව්වරුන්ට ලබා දෙන්න කියන ඉල්ලීමත් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the chief of the National Operations Center for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva, announced that everyone aged over 30 residing in the Western Province can get their first and second doses of COVID vaccines at selected hospitals operated by the Triforces. The Army hospitals earmarked for the new project are the Army hospitals located in Narayanpeta, Panagoda, Verahara, as well as the Air Force hospitals situated in Borella, Katunayaka, Ratmalana and Ekala between 8:30 am and 4:30 pm. In addition, the Army commander also revealed that the same program will continue outside the Western Province for people aged above 60 years at vaccination centres located at Vidyaloka College in Gaul and Mahinda Rajapaksa College in Mathura, as well as the Army hospitals in Diyatalava, Anuradhapura, Kilinochchi, Jaffna and Mullatif from 8:30 am to 4:30 pm from tomorrow as well. More details on these locations can be viewed on www.AdaDerana.lk.
Big 3.
Today's COVID-19 caseload, meanwhile, has risen to 1,517. Now then, the guidelines set in place on the 20th of June by health authorities have been revised, with some restrictions being relaxed. However, the Ministry of Health stated that the inter-provincial travel restriction will stay in place for 2 more weeks, up to the 19th of July.
හෙට දිනේදී සංචාරණ සීමා ලිහිල් කරන්න තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා මීට ප්‍රථම ජූලි මාස 5 වෙනි දින දක්වා බස්නාහිර පළාතට විශේෂිත වූ අනිකුත් පළාත් සඳහා සංචාරණ සීමා අප විසින් පනවලා තිබ්බා. හෙට දිනේදී බස්නාහිර පළාතට පනවා තිබූ සමහර සංචාරණ සීමාවල් අප විසින් ලිහිල් කළා තියෙනවා. නමුත් තව දුරටත් අන්තර් පළාත් සංචාරණ සීමාවල් එලෙසම පවතිනවා තව සති දෙකක් යනකම්.
According to the revised guidelines, public transport outside the Western Province can accommodate 50% of their passengers, while those in the Western Province will only be allowed 30% of passengers. Taxis, however, will be allowed to transport passengers to the vehicle's seating capacity. Meanwhile, employers of both public and private sector will be allowed to decide the number of employees they require based on the workload. The guidelines also state that physical meetings in offices must be limited to 10 persons if the need arises, and have encouraged employers to take their meetings online. Further, weekly fairs, mobile vendors and street vendors have been allowed to operate in accordance with the health and safety guidelines. Supermarkets too will also be able to operate but accommodate up to 35% of their customer capacity. The guidelines for weddings and funerals remain the same as before. For more information, log on to www.AdaDerana.lk.
In other stories, the government has announced that an investment promotion tax exemption package is to be passed in Parliament in the near future. Making the announcement today, Minister of Trade Dr. Bandula Gunawardena stated that this would permit Sri Lankan residents possessing foreign exchange undisclosed to the Income Tax Department to invest that money in Sri Lanka through the payment of a nominal 1% tax. Further, the Ministry of Finance today refuted media reports of a ban on importation of luxury and non-essential goods as baseless.
Minister of Trade Dr. Bandula Gunawardena announced that a special investment promotion tax exemption package is set to be presented in Parliament very soon that will have some attractive benefits for people with undeclared local and overseas earnings.
දේශීය විදේශීය වශයෙන් රැස් කරගෙන දේශීය ආදායම්ට එළිදරව් නොකර තියෙන මුදල් සියල්ල යම් නිශ්චිත ව්‍යාපෘතිවල ආයෝජනය කරන්න පුළුවන් 100%ක වැනි ඊටම කුඩා බදු ප්‍රමාණයක් ගෙවන. එතෙන් පටන් ඔවුන්ගේ අතීතයෙන් වෙන් වෙලා අලුත් බදු ලිපි ගොනුවක් තමයි ආරම්භ වෙන්නේ.
Meanwhile, following reports of a ban being placed on the import of luxury and non-essential goods, the Ministry of Finance set the record straight today, denying that such a decision had been taken. Media reports in the recent past had alleged that a ban on imports of electronic appliances, including mobile phones, televisions and refrigerators, as well as perfumes and other cosmetics, was in the offing. However, Treasury Secretary S.R. Artikala dismissed the media reports as baseless. Meanwhile, a special press conference chaired by State Minister of Media and Capital Market and State Enterprise Reforms Ajit Niwat Cabral is expected to take place tomorrow to brief the public on the country's current economic situation.
We will see you after this break. Stay with us.
ගෙදරකට තේ හදනවා කියන්නේ වෙනම වැඩක්. මෙලිබන් තේ ගෙදර පදමට තේ.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Sri Lanka has been awarded a special accolade at the Future Policy Award 2021 for policies and laws adopted to regulate highly hazardous pesticides and suicide prevention through the control of Pesticides Act No. 33 and the National Policy and Action Plan on the Prevention of Suicide. According to the World Future Council, Sri Lanka possessed one of the highest suicide rates in the world, with pesticide poisoning accounting for more than 2/3 of all cases. However, the Pesticides Act banned 36 highly hazardous pesticides and ensured that only the least hazardous pesticides are available. The measure has contributed to one of the greatest declines in suicide rates ever achieved in the world, with the country's suicide rate dropping by 70%, especially in rural villages as well as among children and youth. What's more, the Sri Lankan experience recommends the banning of highly hazardous pesticides as one of the most cost-effective approaches for suicide prevention. Police media spokesperson Senior DIG Ajit Rohan stated today that the owner and the financial advisor of the website that was used to post an advertisement that led to the sexual exploitation of a minor were arrested yesterday. Now, he added that the police have received information about the involvement of 20 more suspects connected to the crime and said that special operations are underway to apprehend them as well.
The police have apprehended 2 more suspects yesterday over an incident where a 15-year-old girl had been sexually exploited for money through an ad placed on a website. The police have so far arrested a total of 28 people in relation to the incident. Among the arrestees are the child's mother, the person who designed the online advertisement, and the vice chairman of the Mihintale Pradesha Sabha. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohan stated that the cybercrimes unit of the Criminal Investigation Department arrested the owner and the financial advisor of the website through which the minor was sold for prostitution.
Yesterday, another 2 persons have been arrested by the computer unit of Criminal Investigation Department. The persons were arrested on the offence of aiding and abetting to child exploitation. The persons are running a website called www.LANKA'S.com, and they had charged for the advertisement in respect of the 15-year-old girl, and therefore they were arrested. The owner of the website is a person of 45 years of Nalluruwa, Panadura area, and the second suspect is the financial manager of the website is 43-year-old person of Alubolanda, Mavittara, The suspect would be produced before the Colombo Magistrate Court today, and total number of 28 suspects have been arrested as of today in this connection, but we have received information about another 20 suspects who involved in the crime, who have exploited girl, and special teams have been deployed to arrest the remaining suspects.
A new set of orders have been gazetted under the Foreign Exchange Act that will seek to stem any possible outward flow of funds for the next 6 months. The new limitations and suspensions will govern repatriation of funds. However, the Monetary Board says that permission for investments that exceed the new limits can be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
The Ministry of Finance has issued a gazette with new orders under the Foreign Exchange Act No. 12 of 2017 to preserve the country's foreign exchange position. Accordingly, suspensions and restrictions on specific outward remittances will be effective for a period of 6 months, commencing from the 2nd of July. This includes the suspension of the repatriation of funds under the migration allowance of funds received as monetary gifts from immediate family members. Further, a limit has been placed on the repatriation of funds through capital transaction rupee accounts by immigrants who have already claimed the migration allowance up to a maximum of $10,000 or the equivalent in other designated foreign currency. The new orders also include limits to the eligible migration allowance for first-time claimants up to a maximum of $30,000 or its equivalent in other designated currency. Limits are also to be set on the repatriation of current income or accumulated income, such as from EPF and ETF, using capital transaction rupee accounts or immigrants' remittable income accounts up to $30,000 or its equivalent. The new rules will also apply to Sri Lankan nationals who are temporary residents of foreign countries who are eligible for permanent status at a future date by adding a $20,000 limit to outward remittances. Further, a limit of $10,000 has been placed on foreign exchange issuances to Sri Lankan nationals who leave the country on a temporary residence visa. Also, payments through outward investment accounts for the purpose of investments overseas by persons resident in Sri Lanka have also been suspended. However, this excludes certain categories. The categories include investments to be financed out of a foreign currency loan obtained by the investor from a person resident outside Sri Lanka under the provisions of the Foreign Exchange Act. It also includes additional investment to fulfill the regulatory requirements in the investee's country applicable on investments already made in compliance with the Foreign Exchange Act. Further, additional investment or infusion of funds made by eligible resident companies in already established subsidiaries or branch offices overseas up to a maximum of $15,000 or its equivalent in any other designated currency. Limits have also been placed on remittances for the purpose of maintenance of liaison, marketing, agency, project, representative or any other similar offices already established overseas up to a maximum of $30,000. In addition, outward remittances on capital transactions through business foreign currency accounts or personal foreign currency accounts held by a Sri Lankan resident has been limited up to a maximum of $20,000. The Monetary Board, however, says that it has the authority to grant permission for investments exceeding the limits on a case-by-case basis.
Market analysts expect the positive momentum last week to continue and grow in the coming week at the Colombo Bourse, along with a rise in investments seen in dollar income companies. Last Friday, the all-share price index ended up 0.23% at 7,746.56, while the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks gained 15 points to close at 2,970.75. Now here's Dimantha Matthew with the market forecast for the upcoming week.
Looking at the outlook for the upcoming week, we feel that the ending of the last week seems to be positive, and that momentum is likely to get converted at a much more higher scale this week. So though there is likely to be further volatility due to the illiquid counters, we feel that the shift into the more fundamentally sound counters, especially led by the banking sector and the diversified financial sector, is likely to bring in a lot more momentum into the market. In addition to that, we feel that the insurance sector is likely to also be at the limelight with the rising interest rates, and also investors have been putting their money into a lot of dollar income companies with the currency weakness, and we feel that that trend is likely to further accelerate and improve as the currency continues to remain weak. Also, there is sizable interest coming into the utility sector, some of the counters which are also dollar income companies. We feel that there will be further interest into this sector also going forward.
Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, China's CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccine, which is also known as Sinovac, has received the approval of the Medicine Regulatory Authority of South Africa following the consideration of its safety, quality and efficacy data.
The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority has authorized the use of the CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccine, which is developed by Sinovac BioNTech of China. In a statement, the authority said that the vaccine approval was based on the safety, quality and efficacy data submitted to the regulator between the 22nd of March and the 22nd of June. The vaccine is planned to be used for people aged between 18 and 59 years of age, and that they should wait for 14 to 28 days between the two doses. South Africa is currently experiencing a third wave of infections, which is mostly being driven by the highly contagious Delta variant. Further, the country is also the worst affected in the African continent as well. Meanwhile, Australia's New South Wales, which is currently dealing with a rising Delta variant cluster, reported a drop in their daily COVID-19 cases today following 2 days of record infections. 16 new cases were reported during the day, in which 13 of them have already been placed under isolation. The number was down from 35 new cases yesterday and 31 that was announced last Friday. In the meantime, Russia yesterday reported 697 COVID-19 deaths, which is the highest confirmed in a single day since the pandemic began. The infections reported yesterday stood at 24,439, the most it had reported since January. The country's health officials say that the surge in the infectious Delta variant and tepid demand for vaccinations has resulted in the increase in infections. Russia's capital Moscow accounted for 7,446 of yesterday's new cases. However, its mayor stated that the rate of vaccinations was picking up and that more than 2.7 million people have received at least one vaccine dose.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.